Hey there, and welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast. Today, we're diving into a really important topic, one that's on the minds of many retirees and those planning for retirement: how to safeguard your retirement savings from fraud.
Absolutely, Emily. It's such a critical issue, especially as we see more sophisticated scams targeting those who've worked so hard to save for their future.
Right? It can be a bit daunting, but we'll break it down and share some practical strategies to help you protect your hard-earned money.
We'll also touch on some red flags to watch out for and discuss how to stay informed about potential scams so you can be proactive rather than reactive.
And it's not just about knowing the risks. It's also about empowering yourself with the right information and tools.
That's key. We want our listeners to feel confident in their retirement planning and in their ability to safeguard their finances.
Exactly. So whether you're already enjoying retirement or just starting to plan, there's something here for everyone.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's start by talking about some of the most common types of fraud that target retirees. It's surprising how many different tactics scammers use, isn't it?
It really is. And being aware of those tactics is the first step in protecting yourself. Emily, one of the big reasons this topic is so crucial right now is how rapidly the financial landscape is changing. Just look at inflation. It's been a real challenge for many retirees.
Absolutely, and that affects everything, doesn't it? The cost of living just keeps creeping up, and that can put a real strain on fixed incomes.
Exactly. And when you think about it, a lot of people are relying on a combination of Social Security, savings, and maybe a pension. But if inflation outpaces those, it really diminishes what they can actually spend.
Right, and I've heard stories from listeners who are worried about their savings running out. They're often thinking, will I be able to afford my healthcare costs or even basic necessities?
Yes, and healthcare is a huge factor. Medical expenses can skyrocket, especially as we age. I've spoken with retirees who thought they had enough saved, but then they faced unexpected health issues, and, those bills can add up quickly.
It's kind of terrifying, isn't it? One unexpected event can really throw off a carefully laid retirement plan.
It sure can. And let's not forget about market volatility. With everything happening in the economy, the stock market can be quite unpredictable.
Yeah, just when people think they're on stable ground, the market can shift dramatically. I remember talking to a listener who was about to retire in 2022, and they had to completely rethink their plans because of a downturn.
That's a tough position to be in. They might have had a timeline that looked solid on paper, but the reality is that they suddenly felt like they had to delay retirement or adjust their lifestyle dramatically.
And that adds another layer of stress. I think it's important to recognize that the emotional side of financial security is just as critical as the numbers.
Definitely. When people feel insecure about their finances, it can affect their mental health, their relationships, everything. I've seen it firsthand.
So true. And with Social Security changes on the horizon, people are understandably anxious.
Oh, yes. There's been a lot of talk about potential adjustments to benefits, and that uncertainty can really shake people's confidence in their plans.
It's like a perfect storm of factors. And when you combine that with the rising cost of living and the complexities of legacy planning, it feels overwhelming for many.
It really does. I had a client who had been putting off their estate planning because they thought it was something they could tackle later. But with everything happening, they realized they needed to get it done sooner rather than later.
That makes so much sense. I think people often underestimate the importance of having a solid plan in place for their legacy.
Right. And it's not just for them. It's for their loved ones, too. Having that peace of mind can help alleviate some of that emotional stress we mentioned earlier.
And then there's tax efficiency. That's something many retirees overlook, but it can have a significant impact on their savings.
Exactly. With taxes changing, especially with potential hikes in the future, understanding how to structure withdrawals can really help preserve wealth over time.
It's a lot to digest, isn't it? And yet, even with all these challenges, there are solutions out there.
Absolutely, and that's where proactive planning comes in. By addressing these issues now, you can safeguard your retirement savings against fraud and unforeseen circumstances.
It's about being prepared, right?
Yes, and that preparation can make all the difference. Implementing strategies that protect against fraud, being mindful of where you invest, and ensuring your assets are secure. All of that contributes to a sound retirement plan.
And it's not just about the numbers. It's about creating a sense of security and peace of mind.
Exactly. When people feel secure about their finances, they can enjoy their retirement more fully. They can travel, spend time with family, and just live life without that constant financial worry.
So, for those listening, it's important to take action now to really understand your options and how to mitigate these risks.
Yes, and remember, it's never too late to start planning or revisiting your current strategy. The earlier you can identify potential issues, the more you can do to safeguard your financial future.
Well, that's a great segue into some core strategies we can discuss.
Absolutely. Let's dive into those. So let's dive into some strategies, that can really help safeguard your retirement savings from potential fraud.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think a good place to start would be with asset allocation, right? It's such a crucial part of retirement planning.
Absolutely. A well-diversified portfolio can help mitigate risk. You might have heard of the 70-30th rule, where you allocate 70% of your portfolio to stocks and 30% to bonds, especially if you're around the age of retirement. This balance can provide growth while also offering some stability.
Right. But it's not one size fits all, is it? Depending on someone's risk tolerance and time horizon, that mix might look different.
Exactly. If you're more risk-averse, you might lean towards a 60-40th or even a 50-50 allocation. On the other hand, if you can tolerate more risk, maybe you go with a higher stock allocation. The idea is to find what feels right for you.
And that's where knowing your financial goals comes into play, right? Like, if you're planning to travel or spend more in retirement, you might need that extra growth from stocks.
Yes, and keeping an eye on your asset allocation is key. You should revisit it at least annually, or whenever there's a significant market change. Rebalancing can help maintain your desired risk level.
And speaking of growth, what about tax-advantaged accounts? How can those play a role in safeguarding retirement savings?
Tax-advantaged accounts like 401ks and IRAs are fantastic tools. They allow your money to grow tax-deferred, which means you won't pay taxes on the earnings until you withdraw them. This can really boost your overall savings over time.
So it's like you're letting your investments work harder for you, right? But it's important to understand the rules around withdrawals, especially with traditional IRAs.
Exactly. With traditional IRAs, you need to start taking required minimum distributions, or RMDs, at age 72. If you don't, you could face hefty penalties.
And that's where planning comes in. You want to strategize your withdrawals to avoid unnecessary taxes. Like, if you withdraw too much in 1 year, you could bump yourself into a higher tax bracket.
Right. Using a bucket strategy can be an effective way to manage withdrawals. You might divide your savings into buckets based on when you plan to use them. One for short-term needs and another for long-term growth.
Oh, I love that idea. So you could have a bucket for the first 5 years of retirement, filled with safer investments like bonds, and then another bucket with equities for later years.
Exactly. It allows you to weather market fluctuations without having to sell your investments at a loss. And it can help you optimize your Social Security benefits as well.
Right, because the timing of when you start taking Social Security can really impact your overall retirement income, can't it?
Yes, it can. If you delay taking Social Security until age 70, for example, your benefits will increase significantly compared to taking them at 62. It's all about finding the balance between your immediate needs and long-term benefits.
And that's where knowing your spending needs becomes critical, right? You don't want to force yourself to wait just because of the increased benefits if you really need that income sooner.
Exactly. Planning your spending needs helps you make those decisions. And let's not overlook the importance of diversification within your investments. You want to spread out your risk across different asset classes.
Right, like combining stocks, bonds, and maybe even real estate or annuities. You don't want all your eggs in one basket, especially with the potential for fraud.
Yes, diversifying can also protect you from market volatility. And then, when considering real estate, it can serve as a hedge against inflation. Plus, it's an asset that tends to appreciate over time.
That's true, but it's important to approach real estate wisely too. It can be a great investment, but you need to factor in property management, taxes, and maintenance costs.
Definitely. And if someone's considering annuities, they can provide a steady income stream, which is comforting, especially in retirement. However, it's crucial to understand the terms and fees associated with them.
Right. And some annuities have surrender charges if you need to access your money too soon, which can be a real downside. So knowing how to balance these options is key.
Absolutely. And then there are also tax-saving techniques like tax loss harvesting, where you can sell investments at a loss to offset taxable gains. It's something worth discussing with your advisor.
Wow, there's really a lot to consider. I think it's clear that having a solid strategy can help protect against not just market risks, but also fraud and scams that we hear about so often.
Yes, and that's a great segue into discussing common pitfalls. Many people can be susceptible to high-pressure sales tactics or too-good-to-be-true investment opportunities.
Right, and understanding the basics we just talked about can help listeners recognize those red flags, I think.
Exactly. It's all about being informed and trusting your instincts. If something doesn't feel right, take a step back and do your research.
And don't hesitate to reach out to a trusted financial advisor. Having someone with experience can really help navigate these waters.
Well said, Emily. Building a solid foundation for your retirement savings takes time and diligence, but it's absolutely worth it. So, Emily, when we talk about common pitfalls in retirement planning, one of the biggest issues I see is the sequence of returns risk.
Right, that's a term that can sound a bit daunting. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. Essentially, it's the risk that the order of your investment returns will negatively impact your retirement savings. If you experience a market downturn early in retirement and you're withdrawing from your savings, it can significantly affect your long-term portfolio.
That makes sense. I can imagine how stressful that would be. Do you have any real-life examples of this happening to someone?
Absolutely. I recently worked with a couple, let's call them Tom and Lisa. They retired in 2007, just before the financial crisis. They had a solid plan, but because they started withdrawing funds during that market downturn, it took them years to recover. Their portfolio was hit hard, and they had to adjust their lifestyle significantly.
Wow, that sounds tough. So what could they have done differently?
Well, one strategy could be creating a diversified income plan. By having a mix of investments and perhaps setting aside cash reserves for the first few years of retirement, they could have weathered that storm a bit better.
That's great advice. What about taxes? I've heard people say that many retirees ignore how taxes will impact their withdrawals.
Exactly. Many folks underestimate the tax implications of their withdrawals. They might think they can just withdraw from their retirement accounts without considering how it affects their tax bracket.
That can be a rude awakening, can it?
Definitely. I had a client, let's call him Mark, who started taking withdrawals from his 401k without a thought about taxes. He ended up pushing himself into a higher tax bracket, which, reduced his overall retirement income.
Ouch! That must have been a surprise for him.
For sure. We had to reassess his withdrawal strategy and look at ways to manage his tax exposure moving forward. It's important to have a tax-efficient withdrawal strategy, particularly in those first few years of retirement.
So what are some key strategies to manage that?
One effective approach is to withdraw from taxable accounts first, allowing your tax-advantaged accounts to continue growing. Also, consider the timing of your withdrawals. It might make sense to delay Social Security, for example, to minimize taxes over time.
Speaking of Social Security, I've heard a lot about people claiming it too early. How does that play into this?
Ah, yes, that's another common pitfall. Claiming Social Security benefits at 62 might seem appealing, but it can lead to significantly lower monthly payments for the rest of your life.
Do you have a story that illustrates that?
Sure. There was a gentleman named Steve who claimed his benefits early because he was eager to start enjoying retirement. He didn't realize that his monthly payments would be reduced by, about 25% compared to if he had waited until his full retirement age.
That's quite a difference.
It really is. By the time he figured it out, he was already in a tight financial spot. The key is to evaluate your personal situation, consider your health, and your family's longevity before making that decision.
Right, so all these factors tie together. What about healthcare and longevity? I imagine that can really catch people off guard.
Absolutely. Many retirees underestimate their healthcare costs and the length of time they might need to cover those. A client, let's say her name is Linda, thought she had enough set aside for healthcare, but she didn't account for rising costs and the possibility of needing long-term care.
That would be a significant oversight. How did she handle it?
Well, she had to scramble to adjust her budget and even consider part-time work to cover some of those unexpected costs. It's crucial to build a comprehensive plan that includes healthcare expenses and even long-term care insurance, if necessary.
And I suppose that relates to asset allocation too, right?
Exactly. Poor asset allocation can lead to not having enough growth potential or, conversely, being too aggressive and risking your capital. It's a balancing act.
What's a common mistake you see there?
One common mistake is being too conservative after retirement. People often move too much into cash or bonds, thinking they're being safe. But if the growth isn't there, they might not keep up with inflation.
So finding that balance is essential?
Yes, and regularly reviewing that allocation is key. I encourage my clients to revisit their investment strategy at least annually.
That's good advice. So if someone finds themselves in one of these situations, what steps can they take to recover or avoid these pitfalls?
First, it's important to stay informed and regularly review your retirement plan. Consider working with a financial advisor who can help you make these assessments.
That sounds valuable, and I guess it's crucial to keep an eye out for red flags too, right?
Definitely. Look for signs like not having a clear withdrawal strategy, feeling uncertain about your investments, or being unsure how taxes will impact your income.
Those are great indicators to be aware of. So, it really comes down to being proactive, right?
Exactly. The more proactive you are in your planning, the more likely you are to navigate these challenges successfully.
And it sounds like seeking professional help can make a big difference.
Absolutely. A good advisor can provide that guidance and help you adjust your strategy as needed.
Perfect. That's incredibly helpful, David. I think our listeners will appreciate those insights.
I hope so. It's all about creating a solid plan and being adaptable.
Absolutely. And with that, we'll transition to some next steps for our listeners.
All right, so let's dive into some immediate steps that listeners can take right now to safeguard their retirement savings from fraud.
Yeah, that sounds great. It can feel overwhelming, but starting small is key, right?
Absolutely. First up, I'd recommend checking out some retirement calculators. Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab all offer great tools that can help you assess your retirement savings and project future needs.
Oh, I love those. They really break things down nicely. So, like, if someone is unsure how much they should be saving or if they're on track, those calculators can give a clearer picture?
Exactly. They allow you to input your current savings, expected retirement age, and desired lifestyle, and then they'll give you some projections. It's a really good way to see if you're hitting your goals or if adjustments are needed.
And I think it's also important to regularly review your portfolio, right? Like, quarterly check-ins can really make a difference.
Definitely. Setting aside time every 3 months to review your investments can help you spot any unusual activity or changes. You want to make sure everything aligns with your risk tolerance and retirement goals.
Plus, it keeps you engaged with your finances. Sometimes we can get a bit complacent, you know?
Exactly. It's all about staying proactive. And if you haven't already, I'd suggest visiting ssa.gov to review your Social Security statement.
Oh, that's a good one. It's so important to know what benefits you can expect.
Right. You can see your work history, estimated benefits, and even check for any discrepancies that might indicate fraud.
And what about tax software?
Great point. Using a reliable tax software can help you track your deductions and any related income. Many of these programs also have built-in fraud detection features, which can give you an extra layer of security.
That's really reassuring.
And don't forget about financial planning apps. There are so many out there now that can help you manage your retirement savings more effectively. Apps like Mint or Personal Capital allow you to track your investments and expenses in one place.
Those are super helpful. Plus, they often provide insights into spending habits and budgeting, which is crucial for retirement planning.
Exactly. Now, if someone is looking for more in-depth information, there are some fantastic books and podcasts out there.
Oh yeah. Any particular recommendations?
For books, I'd suggest The Boglehead's Guide to Retirement Planning. It's straightforward and packed with useful information.
That sounds great. And what about podcasts?
The Retirement Answer Man is a solid choice. It covers a variety of topics related to retirement planning and is really engaging.
I love that. It's great to find resources that keep you motivated and informed.
Right. And I think developing good habits is key. Start small, like running retirement projections every 6 months or so.
Yeah, just making it a routine part of your financial life can really pay off.
And even setting calendar reminders for those portfolio reviews can help keep you on track.
That's a smart idea. It's all about making it a habit, so it becomes second nature.
Exactly. And remember, it's never too late to improve your retirement plan.
Yes, just taking these small steps can lead to big changes over time.
So with these tools in your pocket, you're ready to strengthen your retirement plan. Well, Emily, as we wrap up our conversation today, it's clear that safeguarding retirement savings from fraud is crucial.
Absolutely, David. So let's recap a few key takeaways for our listeners. First, staying informed is vital, right? Knowing the different types of scams out there can really help people recognize and avoid them.
Exactly. And another important point is to regularly review your financial statements. Spotting inconsistencies early can make a huge difference. It's all about being proactive.
Right. And let's not forget about the importance of using strong passwords and two-factor authentication. Those extra layers of security can really protect your accounts.
Yes. Plus, reaching out for help, whether it's to a trusted advisor or even a family member, can provide guidance and additional support. It's okay to ask for help. You don't have to do it alone.
Definitely. Now, as we think about building and protecting our retirement wealth, it's so important to stay vigilant and proactive. Your future self will thank you for the steps you take today.
Well said, Emily. And if you found value in today's discussion, we'd really appreciate it if you could like this episode, subscribe to our channel, and maybe even share your biggest takeaway or any questions in the comments.
Yes, please do. And if you know someone who's planning for or is already in retirement, share this episode with them. It might just help them avoid a potential pitfall.
And next time, we'll dive into a really relevant topic: how to adjust your retirement plan for inflation.
That's going to be an important one for sure.
Absolutely. So until then, take care and keep building that retirement wealth.
Yes, thank you for joining us today, everyone. We appreciate you listening.